Hey everyone, picture this. It's 1835, in a sweltering Calcutta chamber, where a British lord scribbles words that will chain millions, not with iron, but with ink and classrooms. We must create a class who may be interpreters between us and the millions whom we govern, he declares, envisioning Indians molded into loyal clerks, forever bridging rulers and ruled. What if the schools we know today weren't born from enlightenment, but from empire's desperate need to control? Today, we'll trace the modern schooling system's shadowy beginnings in Prussia, its spread to Britain's elite forges, and colonial outposts like India, where it crafted bureaucrats to dominate the masses, and even to post-war Japan for enforced peace. By the end, you'll see how these designs still echo in our world, questioning if education frees or fetters us. If you're hooked on these revelations from history's underbelly, smash that subscribe button, enable notifications, and join the channel where we decode the past to empower your present. Diving right in, let's unearth the very roots of the modern schooling system, a beast born in the fires of Prussian defeat and ambition. Flashback to 1806. Napoleon's forces shatter Prussia at Weierstedt, exposing a kingdom of disorganized troops and fractured loyalties. King Frederick William III, reeling from humiliation, turns not just to military drills, but to a radical overhaul of minds. Philosophers like Johann Gottlieb Fichte step forward, proclaiming education as the state's ultimate weapon. The old world is crumbling, Fichte urges in his addresses to the German nation. Build a new one through schools that instill unwavering obedience. This wasn't about sparking curiosity. It was about forging a nation of compliant citizens, ready to serve king and country without a whisper of dissent. By 1819, Prussia pioneers the world's first compulsory, state-controlled education system, the blueprint for what we call modern schooling today. Every child, rich or poor, must attend from age 6 to 14, no exceptions. Schools become factories of uniformity. Age-based classes segregate kids like assembly lines. Bells dictate every move, and curricula hammer in patriotism, discipline, and hierarchy. Teachers, many battle-hardened veterans, enforce rules with iron rods, literally, as corporal punishment keeps order. Imagine young Greta, a blacksmith's daughter, her wide eyes dimming as she recites glorifications of Prussian might, her questions silenced by a stern glare. Fictionally, in her diary's hidden pages, she sketches forbidden dreams of exploration. But school whispers, conform or be crushed. Eyewitness reports from foreign observers describe rows of pupils moving like clockwork, their chants a symphony of submission. Standardized tests sort them early, top performers for leadership, the rest for labor or legions. Literacy skyrockets to near universality by 1840, but at the cost of creativity. Rhetorically, what price for a nation's strength? This system, designed to prevent uprisings by conditioning obedience from cradle to conscription, spreads globally because empires see its power, control the young, command the future. But Prussia's model doesn't stop at borders. It morphs into a tool for colonial domination, where governments and elites weaponize education to produce clerks and bureaucrats, human shields controlling restless masses. Take British India, a vast jewel in the empire's crown, simmering with unrest in the early 1800s. The East India Company, hungry for efficient rule over millions. Debates educate in local languages like Sanskrit or Persian, preserving traditions, or impose English to create loyal intermediaries. Enter Thomas Babington Macaulay, a haughty parliamentarian shipped to Calcutta in 1834. His infamous minute on Indian education seals the fate. We must form a class of persons Indian in blood and color, but English in tastes, in opinions, in morals, and in intellect. Why? To staff the bureaucracy, clerks translating orders, bureaucrats enforcing laws, ensuring the elite few could govern without direct confrontation. The English Education Act of 1835 makes it official. Government funds pour into English medium schools, sidelining indigenous madrasas and pathshalas. In bustling Bombay or rural Bengal, mission schools and government institutions sprout, luring ambitious families with promises of jobs. But suspense builds. This wasn't empowerment. It was entrapment. Curriculum, heavy on British history, literature like Shakespeare, and law, light on Indian heritage. Students memorize Macaulay's ideals, becoming Babas, derogatory for clerks, shuffling papers in colonial offices. Picture Raj, a bright villager's son, arriving at a Calcutta college, his traditional dhoti swapped for trousers. He excels in English debates, yet feels the sting of alienation, his own culture branded barbaric. In a stormy night study session, Raj uncovers forbidden texts on independence, heart-pounding as he weighs loyalty against awakening. Eyewitness accounts from British officials boast of success. These educated natives administer justice in our name, quelling dissent before it boils. By the mid-1800s, thousands of such bureaucrats oil the empire's machine, collecting taxes, suppressing revolts like the 1857 mutiny, while elites in London sip tea, secure in their divide and rule mastery. Rhetorically, was this education or indoctrination? In colonies, from India to Africa, similar systems emerge. French in Algeria, Dutch in Indonesia, all crafting administrative puppets to control the uncivilized masses according to their opinion, perpetuating inequality under the guise of progress. Now, crossing the Channel to Britain's homeland, where the elite honed their own version of control through boarding schools like Eton and Harrow. These weren't for the masses, but for forging a ruling class, detached and dominant. Founded centuries earlier, Eton in 1440 by Henry VI, Harrow in 1572, these institutions evolve in the Victorian era to supply administrators for the sprawling empire. Wealthy parents dispatch sons as young as 7, severing family bonds to instill institutional allegiance. Break the boy to build the man, headmasters proclaim, echoing Prussian rigidity, but with aristocratic flair. Visualize young Percy, heir to a dukedom, stepping into Eton's echoing halls. Cold dorms, fagging where juniors scrub for seniors. And brutal games, like the wall game, toughen bodies and spirits. Discipline, floggings for trifles. Isolation for weakness. A master's log from the 1800s notes. We cultivate stoicism, essential for governing savage lands without mercy. Curriculum drills, classics, Latin for eloquence, history, romanticizing conquests, preparing for parliament or colonial posts. Percy forges lifelong alliances in midnight whispers, but learns to suppress tears, viewing empathy as frailty. A fictional duel challenge tests his resolve, Cain's scars marking the price of hierarchy. Graduates like Lord Curzon, Viceroy of India, credit these schools for their unflinching rule by prioritizing group loyalty over personal ties. Britain ensures its elites remain insulated, controlling not just colonies but their own society's undercurrents. As threads connect, Prussia's mass obedience feeds into Britain's stratified control, both sustaining empires through schooled submission. Finally, pivot to the land of the rising sun, where American occupiers post-World War II repurpose education for a different control: pacifism over aggression. August 1945, Hiroshima bears atomic scars. Japan surrenders. General Douglas MacArthur, Supreme Commander, eyes the education system that bred kamikaze zeal, pre-war schools idolizing the emperor, drilling Bushido warrior code, textbooks justifying invasions as destiny. The U.S. education mission arrives in 1946, blueprint in hand: eradicate militarism, implant democracy. The 1947 Fundamental Law of Education decentralizes control, mandates 9 years compulsory schooling focused on individual rights, equality, and peaceful resolution. Co-ed classrooms have taken over, and teachers have been screened to focus on guiding discussions like, how does democracy benefit everyone? Envision little Hiroshi in a Tokyo school, once saluting imperial portraits, now crafting posters on freedom. He hides a forbidden samurai tale, torn between old pride and new promises, suspense in whether he'll conform or rebel. Eyewitness memos from occupiers detail the shift. Curricula infuse American capitalism, tales of innovators like Edison, and constitutional values, ensuring Japan rebuilds as an economic ally, not rival. Article 9 of the 1947 Constitution, renouncing war, mirrors this educational pivot. Impacts: Japan booms, industrially literacy, perfect, but with subtle controls, standardized tests funneling kids into corporate hierarchies. From wartime ruins, a generation emerges questioning power, yet bound by imposed ideals. This wasn't liberation. It was re-engineering for US-aligned stability. Pulling it all together, from Prussia's compulsory origins, birthing modern schooling as obedience factories, to colonial India's clerk-producing machines, enforcing elite dominance over masses, Britain's detached rulers, and Japan's pacified populace. These systems weren't accidents. They were empire's lifelines, controlling through curricula and classrooms. Power shapes knowledge to preserve itself, often at creativity's expense. How deeply do these roots tangle our global education today? Perhaps digital learning continues the chain, algorithms replacing bells. What say you, tool for empowerment or eternal control? Share in the comments. Your insights fuel our fire. For more mind-bending history, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep unveiling truths together. Catch you next time.